This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, how there, ho there, it's Jeff Cutastrophe and welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe Birthday Boy. And the birthday boy for today, February the 5th, was the manager of England, despite the fact he was Swedish, which was shocking to a lot of people. But, he got through all that. He played soccer as a right back, a defensive player, and then he would be in club management between 1977 and 2001, winning 18 trophies within Sweden, Portugal, and Italy. He actually has a UEFA Cup and a Cup Winners' Cup under his belt and got to the European Cup final one time. This man would actually manage England, then Mexico, then the Philippines, and the Ivory Coast. So he's coached in 10 countries. His name is Sven Goran Eriksson, who is now 76 years old. He was born on February 5th, 1948 in Sene, Sweden. He would be known by this nickname, Sven. Anyway, he would join a Division II team, Karlskoga, and all of that. At age 27, he retired from playing soccer, saying that he was a distinctly average defender. He was actually offered the chance to be at Degerfors and be an assistant. A year later, Eriksson became the manager at Degerfors after his predecessor was named assistant manager of the Swedish team. So he would be manager for almost 2 years, guiding them to Swedish Football Division 2. His success meant that larger clubs wanted to do it, and IFK Gothenburg in the main Swedish league said, we've got to do it. All that. They ended up finishing second in the league and won the Swedish Cup for the first time in club history, beating Altenburg 6-1. He was not really popular. He put results ahead of flair, emphasized technical awareness and work rate, and had the old Cavalier style. But the attendance would fall and all that. He would play a 4-4-2 with zonal marking, heavy pressing. Gunberg won the Swedish treble, as in the league, the cup, and some other thing. 1982. So yeah, they did it. And he was good for IFK Gutenberg. And IFK got to the UEFA Cup, which is what we call now Europa, as in the second tier European side competition. Regardless, he got them through. They beat Valencia in the quarters and Kaiserslautern in the semis, meaning that they would face Hamburg, another German team. Gothenburg won 1-0 and then went to Hamburg for the away fixture and won 3-0, shocking the world and getting the Swedish league their first ever UEFA Cup. He would leave Gothenburg because many people were impressed by his results. So he went to Benfica. Portugal recruited them. And it worked. They won the top division. They won the Portuguese Cup and would be runner-up in the UEFA Cup to Anderlecht. But man, it would have been funny to have seen Eriksson lead two different teams to the UEFA Cup in back-to-back years. After winning another league title, he was swayed to go to Italy and become Roma's manager. He helped Roma win the Italian Cup in 1986, but then he left the club in 1987 going to Fiorentina in Florence. There was no trophy, and then in 1989 he went back to Benfica and got them to the European Cup final, losing to Milan 1-0. So he would have had the European Cup / Champions League. That would have been nice. He helped Benfica win the 91 top division. He would leave the club and head to Sampdoria, helping them win the 1994 Coppa Italia. He spent 3 years there and then went to Lazio. Well, he went he was going to go to Blackburn, but then he went back on his word and opted to stay in Italy with Lazio. Roy Hodgson would head to Blackburn. So, anyway, he found success with Lazio as they won the Italian Cup in 98 and 2000, the Cup Winners' Cup in 1999, the final ever one of that, and the top division title in 2000. That's Scudero. He was popular in Italy and all that. So the Cup Winners' Cup, to explain, is basically that every team that won a European Cup, like the Italian Cup, the British, the English, the FA Cup, the Portuguese Cup, and so on, would be in a knockout tournament. Decide who would be the best of the best. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to the Champions League or Europa. Anyway, after Kevin Keegan resigned, after losing to Germany in 2000, the FA found out that Sven Goran could be a good replacement and decided to make him the replacement and all that. He would begin his England duties in January 2001. He would be the first non-British manager of England's national team. And it worked. Eriksson's magic got England through to the World Cup directly. Instead 2002. Critical wins. He helped England beat Germany 5-1 in Germany, of all places, and in the qualifying group. And England still needed to tie Greece to qualify automatically, as Germany could not do the job against Finland. Germany did qualify through the playoff stages. Anyway, England would face Sweden, Argentina, and Nigeria in the 2002 World Cup, which would have been weird for Sven Goran to face his country at birth and all that. England tied Sweden, beat Argentina on a David Beckham goal, and drew with Nigeria to qualify for second place. They would face Denmark in the round of 16, crushing them, and then would face Brazil, and had the lead on Brazil, but unfortunately they faltered thanks to David Seaman not jumping for that free kick. He got England to Euro 2004. Unfortunately, they would lose to France thanks to Zidane's late heroics. They beat Switzerland and they beat Croatia. But then they would have to face Portugal, the hosts, and would fall in penalty shootouts. Regardless, the English team had confidence in him, and he stayed around for the 2006 World Cup qualifying and all that. A lot of people were criticizing him after losing to Northern Ireland. Regardless, they did win the World Cup bid and all that. So, anyway, there were rumors circulating. This would be huge. There were rumors that Eriksson would be losing his England manager spot after the 2006 World Cup. England would face Paraguay, Trinidad, and Sweden in the group stages. And 2 wins and a tie was huge. They would face Ecuador. It was a lackluster 1-0 win, but England made it. But then they would have to face their old rivals, Portugal, and lost on penalties. That was the game in which Cristiano Ronaldo basically winked at the camera, like getting under Wayne Rooney's skin, and got Rooney sent off. So, anyway. He did well for England. They went from 17th in the world rankings in 2001 to 5th. The FA said he was England's second most successful manager after Sir Alf Ramsey. He did what he could, all of that. So in July 2007, Eriksson was made manager of Man City. Now, of course, Man City was not the powerhouse they are today, back in 2007. He became the first Swedish manager in the Premier League. And Man City beat Man U in August, which got them on top of the 2008 Premier League after 3 games without conceding a goal. Unfortunately, the owner decided to replace Eriksson after some very poor results and all that. And it worked huge and all of that. As Man City got crushed by Middlesbrough 8-1, they ended in 9th place and could not qualify for UEFA Cup. All of that. But they did qualify for the UEFA Cup because the Premier League was the highest placed team, did not do the fair play thing. But Eriksson beat Man U in both games of the derby in that season. So, you know, it was just whatever happening and all that. After Man City dumped him off, he went to Mexico to become the manager of the team. And there were a lot of people saying that he should not have coached Mexico and all that. After losing to Honduras 3-1, he was removed as national team manager. So he didn't do so well. In July 2009, he was made director of football at Notts County. All that. He got Notts County to be promoted to League One, or to go to the second tier. And then he became Ivory Coast's manager and got them to the 2010 World Cup. Ivory Coast tied Portugal 0-0. Got taken out by Brazil 3-1. And despite beating North Korea, they failed to qualify. It was just not good. And his contract was terminated. Then he became Leicester City's manager in 2010. He tried to get Leicester to the playoff to get into the Premier League, but they ended up in 10th place. Anyway, it was just huge and all that. Although, Sven would sign Kasper Schmeichel to a contract, and he's been basically Leicester City's main goalie, all that. So he went to China, was part of the Philippines national team, got them to the Asian Cup for the first time ever, but they lost to South Korea, China, and even Kyrgyzstan. Eriksson's first marriage was to Anne-Christine Pettersson. For 17 years, he married her and had 2 children. And then got had a couple of women, Nancy Delario and Eureka Johnson, who was a good TV presenter in the UK. But he returned to Nancy and all that. He would have an affair with the secretary. The couple would eventually split up in 2007. He had an autobiography in 2013. But just this past month, in January 2024, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, terminal. And they say he's got about a year left. So we'll probably have to do like a tribute match to him soon. So he would coach Durgafors, IFK, Benfica, Roma, Fiorentina, Benfica again, Sampdoria, Lazio, England, Man City, Mexico, Ivory Coast, Leicester, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Shenzhen, and the Philippines. He had a 52% winning percentage, 629 wins in 1,207 games. With England, he was 40, 10, and 17, which is pretty impressive. Of course, 40 wins, 10 losses, 17 ties, because in Canada, we go by wins, losses, ties, instead of wins, draws, losses. So domestically, he won cups with IFK, Gothenburg, Benfica, Roma, Sampdoria, and Lazio, which is pretty impressive. And won leagues with Gothenburg, Benfica, and Lazio, and won the Continental thing. So yeah, he helped many teams get through and all of that, including the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup once and the UEFA Cup in 1982, which is pretty darn impressive if you ask me. How Sven Goran Eriksson can coach so many teams to so many levels. And I didn't even know his history before he went to the England national team. So just goes to show you learn a lot of things. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond to do.